And so this man, if he was full of knowledge, which he was, God used him to interpret dreams and other things. He was set in a high position. He was a knowledgeable man. And by the way, he was probably in his 80s when this took place. We think of a young lad being thrown down in there. This was probably an old man. And so when you get to a certain age, you realize people are looking at you. What kind of example are you setting for others in your lives? Mom and dad and grandma and grandpas and cousins and uncles. I'm trying to catch all of us. What kind of example are we setting for others? Are we willing to say, you know what? If this happens to me, I'm still willing to stand and bow before my God. Why? Because God never takes us around a problem. I even wrote this. I thought it was very interesting. I heard Dr. Michael Youssef, a good friend of mine. No, not really. Bed of roses, and it has been since you've got saved. It just doesn't line up with Scripture. Because it's biblical characters in Scripture. These are God's people, I want to point out to you, that God never took them around a problem or a storm. He took them through it. He was going to eat that fruit. I knew you was going to be tempted by the serpent. I knew these things were going to happen, but I'm just going to wash it. Well, then there'd be no consequences to sin, would there? And then we know their children went through the same thing. I've shared it with you for over 6 years now. I think one of the greatest things is when God was walking with Cain before he killed his brother. And he said, sin lies at your door, and its desire is to have you, but you must master over it, which is telling me you can do it. And that is God saying, I'm with you, and I'm going to walk you through this problem that you hate your brother that much you want to kill him. Or you're that upset that I did not accept your offering. Think about that for a moment. What have you offered God lately? Not talking about monetary. That's one part of it. We give, whether you tithe or not, or you give above, you give to your means. You give joyfully, cheerfully. That's what the New Testament says. That's between you and God. I absolutely love that. And he's saying sin is coming towards you. It's going to be knocking soon, but we can get through it. We can get through it. This is where most people, humanity, they don't want it. It's too hard. Too hard. It's much easier to go around the storm, isn't it? That little storm front blew through quick last night. It was cold. It was windy. I come out, the garage door out there, shed door was flung open. Blocks were out in the field, everything. I'm like, it comes through in the blink of an eye. You can't control any of it. Can't control any of it. So set examples. Let's look at some other ones. Abraham and Sarah, Lot and his family. Job. Abraham even lied. He kind of lied. She was his sister. So it's gross, but you get my point. He still lied. Job. Holy cow. That poor fella. There was no sin in his life. He was a righteous man. And for things that I don't understand, Satan was before God and all the fallen angels, they were held accountable. God asked Satan a rhetorical question, where you been? Oh, just devouring, roaming, doing my thing, like God didn't know. And then Job gets thrown, except God knew Job and his heart. And he knew that Job could walk through any storm. Lost his money, which most would run. And he lost his children. His good buddies weren't real encouraging. How about Joshua, Moses, the nation of Israel? How about all the prophets, the kings, King David, Isaiah and the other? How about the apostles? How about the chosen 12? Storms and difficulties they walked through. How about all the Christians in the book of Acts? God never took them around anything. He never even stopped the martyrism. They were killed. How many times have we shared that wonderful story with you? Before Christ even left the disciples, he told them thus, this is going to happen. right? We talked about it on Wednesday night a lot. They're going to flog you in a synagogue. Your fellow countrymen, kinsmen, they're going to beat you. They're going to run you out of town. Then when they get tired of you, they're going to kill you. And you're going to do all this living in poverty. Would